Well, hello everybody. I hope you're having a fantastic day today. I know I am. And I'm Michelle with Family of Flair, and I'm coming to you again today from the kitchen. I'm taking a little break from the DIY and the crafting, which I love to do, but I love to be in the kitchen. So today I'm in the kitchen because Thanksgiving is just around the corner. It is the 1st of November. Can you believe it? Well, kind of we can after this year. It's kind of been a strange year, but we are in November and Thanksgiving is right around the corner. And you know, it makes me so sad when I hear people just talk about how Thanksgiving is so hard and there's just so much to do, and they really just kind of skip over the holiday. And I don't know about you, but I know for myself, one day is not at all enough time to just stop and reflect on the things that I have to be thankful about, on the goodness of God and how good He is to us. You know what? We don't need to skip Thanksgiving. We need to take a pause and, you know, before we start into the busy Christmas season, just take a little moment to pause and to reflect over, you know, the last year. And even though it's been crazy, we've survived. We're here. God has provided for us. And we have so much to be thankful for. So let's do that this year. Let's get prepared and let's spend time and let's reflect and thank God for all of His goodness and all of His blessings. For our families, spend time with your families. The list goes on and on, but enough of that. I'm not preaching a sermon today, I promise. On my blog, I have been talking about Thanksgiving, and I have a recipe book that you can download, an ebook. So it gives a little tips and some instructions on how if we just do a few things ahead of time, it can really make a difference. And so that's what I did. I'm trying to follow my own instructions, and I made up my list and I looked it over of my menu, and I decided the things that I could make and freeze. So that's where I'm going to start first. And that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to start working on some recipes that I can make now, and I can stick them in my freezer. And all I have to do on Thanksgiving Day is heat them up, and it's wonderful. So the recipes that we're going to be making today are the pecan pies, and I actually have to make 2 for my family. Not that we eat it all that day, but my mom is a big pecan pie fan, and so is Kyle, and so we have to have enough, and we like to have some leftovers. So I'm going to do 2 pecan pies, and I'm also going to go ahead and do my candied sweet potatoes. And I'm going to actually start those first because if you've ever candied anything, you know that it's a slow cook. It takes slow cooking for that brown sugar and the white sugar to break down and to turn into a candy form. So we're going to let that get started and let it cook slowly. And while that's cooking, then I'm going to prepare our pecan pies. And also, I said I'm doing 2, but I don't know about y'all. I've tried to mix all the ingredients and just break it up, and it doesn't work for me. So I make 1 pecan pie at a time. It's, you know, a little bit more work, but that's just what works for me. Also, I don't know if any of you have ever seen one of these, or maybe you have one or something similar. I love this thing. It is so awesome. It keeps your recipes up from getting dirty and stuff spilled on them. And also, it's so cute, and it's kind of up at eye level. It's easy to look at while you're working. So anyways, if you ever see one of these and you don't have one, definitely pick it up, because I probably should not show this to y'all because it's kind of embarrassing. I think it's kind of time for me to do a new recipe. I probably won't even be able to read it before long, much longer, but look at this. It's so nasty. It's so yucky. And so that's why you need one of these little things, because it like I said, it keeps your recipe up. And speaking of recipes, holding this up, it's the pecan pie recipe. I would like to give a big shout out to my mother, because most all these recipes and the recipes in my ebook, they are handed down from my mom. These are recipes that I grew up eating, and several years, many years ago, I started cooking them for my family. And I love that. I love that's something that my mom has given to me. And, you know, now I have them and I can share them with other people too. And, you know, I love recipe books. Is anybody else out there a recipe book fan? I love them. I like to collect them from different places. I like recipe books. I like magazines. Now, they have to have pictures. You can't have a recipe book without some kind of pictures. And also, Kyle, my husband, he's a pastor, has been for years. And so in some of the different churches that we've been in throughout the years, oh my goodness, they give the best cookbooks. Some of those cookbooks that the church does together and everybody puts their recipes in. And some of those older women who had those old recipes, they're priceless, priceless. And so I have been given some of those as gifts and I absolutely love them and I use them. And also Jade and JC, they did a recipe book as a fundraiser. And that was so cool because it was people that had been supporting them and following along with their story. And so we got recipes from all over the place. And I use that all the time. It's starting to kind of look like this because I use it so much. So anyways, I don't know, do any of you have a story with a recipe attached to it? Maybe it's somewhere way down the line in your family, so they started using a recipe and it's just kind of been handed on down to you and you're still using it and you're teaching it to your kids. Maybe something like that, or you just have a special memory of a recipe or your favorite, whatever it is. Please comment in the comments below and share that story with us. I love stuff like that. It's just so cool to hear from different people, and also it's a great way to get new recipes. Who doesn't love to get new recipes? So today, like I said, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get started. I'm gonna go ahead and get started on the sweet potato casserole, sweet potato casserole. Woo! Those are good too. But what we do in my family is we do the candied sweet potatoes. My mom started doing this and none of us can go without these candied sweet potatoes. They are so good. Sweet potato casserole is good too. And if you would rather use that, feel free to do it. But if you've never tried these, you might want to try them. As you can see, I have already added in my butter and my different sugars and my yams in the skillet. It's great if you have a family-sized skillet because it takes a big one. And now I'm just going to let it come to a boil. Okay, I'm starting on my pecan pies. And here I'm just taking my eggs and cracking them one at a time into the bowl. Sometimes people want to crack them into a separate bowl just to make sure they don't get any shells in it. And if you want to do that, if you're not comfortable cracking your eggs without getting shells, that's perfectly fine to do that. Now here, I'm going to add in some white corn syrup. Make sure you get all of that out of your measuring cup because you want every last drop of that corn syrup. The spatula, one of those rubber spatulas, are absolutely amazing, and that is very easy to get it out of your measuring cup with. Adding some salt in. Next, one of my favorite ingredients, vanilla. Vanilla is an essential in every kitchen. And here we have pecans. A lot of people chop theirs up. I don't. I leave mine whole. But you know what? That's the great thing about cooking. You can make it fit what you like and what your family likes. It won't change the outcome of the pie. Okay, I'm adding in some sugar. And then I've got my melted butter that I'm going to add in. And you know, this is very important with the melted butter. Make sure you temper it because you do not want to scramble your eggs. If you pour in hot butter into the mixture on those eggs, your eggs literally will scramble. So always temper it. Mine had set out a little bit and it was cool enough. So if you can do that too. but don't pour in hot butter onto your raw eggs or they will be scrambled and you'll have to start over. Now we're just going to mix it up really well with the whisk. You don't want to over mix it with your pecan pies. Now here, what I'm doing is I'm just very gently poking a few holes into the crust because this will allow the air to escape and it will cause your crust to be crispy and it will also cause it to not bubble up. But don't poke too hard because you don't want to poke a hole in the bottom of your crust because then it makes a mess when it cooks. Then take your ingredients, pour them in your pie shell, and then you'll see the pecans kind of gathered together. So just take your spoon or your spatula, whatever, and move them around, place them around to where they're evenly spread out. And then you can just take and pop your pan up and down a couple of times on the counter. That's going to help make them even and also get out any air. I was wanting to show you, if you look down here, you can kind of see how this is actually starting to thicken. See how that middle is kind of sticking to the pan? So the candying process is starting, and so you just want to make sure that you keep a very close eye on this. You want to keep stirring it, like not constantly, but you don't want to leave this left alone for very long. You want to come back, you want to stir it because you can see right there in the middle where it's getting thick. And that's what it's supposed to do. And so you want to keep it stirred around so that it doesn't stick. And then it won't be too much longer now. And they should be done enough that I can take them off of the heat. But I just wanted to kind of point this out to you. This is where it's starting to thicken. And when this happens, you have to be really careful to watch it and stir it, or it will burn. And once it gets that burnt taste to it, you just have to throw them out because it's, trust me, I've tried it and it doesn't work. So anyways, just wanted to show you that. Not too much longer and they'll be finished. It's really starting to be almost finished now. You can see how the texture of it, there's not hardly any runny juice. It's pretty much all thickened up. Right there in the middle of the pan, it's really thick. And so, really and truly, since we're gonna freeze it, if we weren't gonna freeze it, I would probably let it go just a little bit longer. Well, I probably still will let it go a few more minutes, maybe 5 minutes at the max longer. And then we'll take it off and we'll go ahead and put it in our pan and we will let it cool down before we freeze it. And then whenever we get it out of the freezer for Thanksgiving, we'll reheat it good and then throw our marshmallows on it. And then we'll be done with this. So I just wanted to give you a picture of that for those of you that have never candied anything. And this is not like candied apples, but if you taste them, you'll know what I mean by candied. They're very sweet and almost could be dessert. And if you taste them and they're a little bit too sweet for your taste, you can always just add you a little bit of salt in there. That will kind of cut some of that sugar and that sweet taste. By all means, taste them and fix them if you need a little bit more butter. Fix them to your taste and what your family would like. But I'm just letting you show you how that's cooking up some. And that right there is almost perfect. We're gonna take that off and we're gonna let that cool good. And that is pure deliciousness.